Welcome back to When Harry Met Board Games, where we feed our people with relatable content and our victory condition is your satisfaction. I'm Harry, and before we go any further, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click on that bell notification. That way, when we are doing our thing, YouTube lets you know. Today, we have another episode of Board Game News, aka Monday Metagaming. I have a lot of news items to cover, so let's get straight to it. The first item I will be discussing is the announcement of Terraforming Mars, the Ares Expedition. And this is not yet another expansion for that game, Terraforming Mars. Instead, it is a spin-off card implementation of that game, or at least a game that takes place within the same universe. I imagine it's going to share lots of similar concepts to the game thematically and even mechanically, albeit through card play. Also, Command Games has announced a line of games called the Animation Collection, and one of the games that I would like to point out is going to be called Looney Tunes Mayhem, and that actually sounds very interesting and piques my interest and taps into the inner child in me. This is a game with dice rolling, team-based combat where players will have variable player power, so they'll all be controlling different characters that give them different advantages and benefits from the other players around the table. Again, that sounds really neat to me. Also, Floodgate Games and Daryl Andrews have announced the release of Sagrada Legacy. So Sagrada is also going to throw their name in the hat as far as the legacy games that abound in the industry nowadays. I think Sagrada is a really fun gateway level dice drafting game, and the idea of a game that progresses, evolves, ever changing, and at the same time probably growing as far as complexity and weight is concerned really, again, catches my interest. Sagrada Legacy. Another announcement is Capstone Games, who have announced that they will be reprinting Glass Road, which is one of my favorite Uwe Rosenberg games. And this game has been out of print for a couple years, and lots of people have made reference to the fact that they would like to grab a copy, but unfortunately it's been out of print. Now it will be reprinted, and this edition is going to include all promotional material that has been released in the past. We also have the announcement from Schmidt Spiel Games and designer Michael Liu of Mission ISS. And this is a 1 to 4 player cooperative game where players are all taking on the roles of different nations in the globe. The ISS stands for International Space Station, and these players are all working together collaboratively to run a international space station, and they're going on different types of missions that involve research and other space related things, and they're all again collaborating to accomplish the objectives of the team. It sounds refreshing from a thematic perspective. Yes, quasi sci-fi, but it's actually very realistic, right? But again, that idea of space or astronomy concept, but with a collaborative team play as far as gameplay is concerned. So that's Mission ISS. Another announcement from Schmidt Spiel is the announcement of a release of a roll and write game known as Clancy Nicken. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And Schmidt Spiel is famous for their very popular roll and write game known as Ganz Clever, and that entire line of roll and write games. But this game in particular, it says that it plays at 20 minutes, and the two designers involved are Ralph K. Firth and Klaus-Jürgen Wrede of Carcassonne fame. I'm a big fan of Klaus-Jürgen Wrede. I'm a big fan of Carcassonne. I'm very curious to see what he will do as far as the roll and write genre is concerned. Another announcement from Thunderworks Games and designer Keith Matechka is the announcement of Role Player Adventures. And this is a standalone game separate from the Role Player base game. It's a spin-off, takes place within the same universe, but this is a cooperative storybook adventure game where players are going to take on the role of either pre-generated characters that the game comes with, or they can choose to use a character that they've created in the past in a game of Role Player and just import it into the game, and they're going to take that character and go through a series of adventures. And again, it's storybook driven. Really cool, really interesting. It definitely has caught my attention. Quintet Games has announced the release of Carnegie, designed by Xavier Georget. This game was successfully funded on Kickstarter and is due to be released in September of 2021. In this game, players take on the role of business moguls who are working to manage their employees, endeavoring to expand their businesses, and investing in real estate all the meanwhile. This game sounds like a realistic business simulation with a strong economic feel to it. Carnegie. Also, by publisher Hans im Glück, the announcement of the release of Ultimate Railroads. And this is a grand deluxe release of a game that combines Russian railroads, German railroads, American railroads, a few small expansions, plus a brand new expansion in that box called Asian Railroads, as well as a new solo variant in the rules. That sounds like a very massive release as far as I'm concerned. Also by Hans im Glück, the announcement of a 20th anniversary edition of Carcassonne, right? So Carcassonne was actually released a little bit over 20 years ago, but it was 20 years ago that they won the Spiel des Jahres Award in 2001. And they're celebrating that by releasing this new edition, which includes a lot of the same material from Carcassonne, the Abbot and River expansion. I think there's going to be some new box cover art. And also, there is going to be a new 15-tile expansion included in that box. So that's where the new thing comes to play. Also, the announcement by Lookout Games, two announcements by Lookout Games. First, the announcement of a new expansion for Caverna. Yes, Caverna, that went many years without any expansions, has had 2 expansions in recent memory. And this new one's going to be called Frantic Friends. And in this expansion, it sounds like players are going to be working to defend their caves from the onslaught and the attack of incoming hordes of orcs. So, again, that probably will add a cool new twist to this fantastical Euro-style worker placement game. And also from Lookout, the announcement of Agricola releasing a new deck, a new expansion deck, Consul Dirigens deck, and this will include 120 new cards that players can add, occupation cards, minor improvement cards that players can add to their games of Agricola. I'd like to take this time to give a shout out to all of my supporters on Patreon. I have 5 people currently supporting me. Why did I put out 10 fingers? I have 5 people currently supporting me on Patreon, and I'd like to take this time to acknowledge them on camera. First of all, we'll start with Wayne Jamel, and I'd like to give a plug to his website, DanielDreamGazer.com, where he sells a series of graphic novels on the book of Daniel in the Bible. Also, I'd like to take a time out to plug his new release, his new project. He's coming out with the 3rd book in that series based on the 3rd chapter of the book of Daniel. It's currently on Kickstarter. And if you go to his Kickstarter page and you mention that Harry sent you, you will get the 1st book in that series for free. So make sure to check in the description down below for a link to Wayne's Kickstarter page for the Daniel Dreamgazer graphic novel. And again, use the Kickstarter message feature to let Wayne know that Harry sent you. And not only will you be able to get that 3rd book in the series of Daniel Dreamgazer, but also you'll be able to get the 1st one for free. All right. So I'd also like to take a time to give a shout out to Vala Kementari. Thank you so much for your support, Vala. Really, really appreciate your belief in our product and your willingness to support it. And always giving affirming comments on the YouTube comment section and giving us a lot of support. It is not taken for granted. Very much appreciated. Also like to give a shout out to Marty Epstein. Marty, thank you so much for supporting this channel. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for believing in us. And I'd like to give a shout out to Raymond Mena. Again, Raymond, thank you so much for buying into the vision of When Harry Met Board Games and your willingness to support us monetarily and in all other fashions as well. It is very much appreciated. And finally, the 5th and final Patreon supporter is Damari Najera. Thank you, Damari. You have recently started watching this channel, and again, I appreciate the fact that so early on you've committed and you've bought into the cause. Really appreciate it. And if you're not a Patreon supporter yet, you should check in the description down below for a link to my Patreon and see if there's any tiers there that catch your interest. I would like to make some very big, huge channel announcements, milestones, and accomplishments. First of all, the announcement that in this past month, we had 375 new subscribers. 375. Now, we did have some casualties. We lost 17 of those subscribers, or some subscribers, along the way, but it still results in a net of positive 358 new subscribers to the channel, bringing the grand total to 1,100 221 subscribers. We did it, folks. We crossed the 1,000 threshold. And now on to new horizons. Let's see what's next for When Harry Met Board Games. Let's see if we can make it chugging along to 1,500, maybe even 2,000 sometime in the near future. Also, as far as traffic, it was another good month for the channel. We had 14,122 views in the last 4 weeks. That is pretty darn good, 14,122. And that brings the grand total for the channel to 75,895 views. So we are very close to the 100K, the 100,000 view mark. So we already hit that milestone as far as 1,000 subscribers. Now let's see if we could get to 100,000 views. I think that's in some regards even more exciting for a young channel. We just celebrated 1 year. As a matter of fact, last week was the 1 year anniversary of When Harry Met Board Games. And for our channel to already be, sniffing the 100,000 view mark, really, really, really exciting. So again, thank you all subscribers, viewers who are not subscribed. Maybe you don't even have a YouTube channel. I appreciate the fact that you support us by watching these videos and giving it some view time. Again, really, really thankful, and moving forward, just excited about what the future has in store. And that's it for today's episode of Board Game News, Monday Metagaming. Thank you so much for joining us here when Harry Met Board Games. Consider clicking on one of the videos that you see on the screen right now. Also, again, check in the description down below for a link to our Patreon account and see how you can support this channel and become more involved with the behind-the-scenes process. Research and find a tier that clicks with you. This is Harry saying take care, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have fun gaming. Bye-bye.